Yeah. Here.
All comments must be addressed to the Commission as a body and not to individuals. Any person making impertinent or slanderous remarks or who becomes boisterous while addressing the Commission shall be barred from further audience before the Commission by the presiding officer, unless permission to continue or again address the Commission is granted by a majority vote of the Commission members present. No clapping, applauding, heckling, or verbal outbursts in support or in opposition to a speaker or his or her remarks shall be permitted. No signs or placards shall be allowed in the Commission chambers. Please mute or turn off your cell phone or pager at the start of the meeting. Failure to do so may result in being barred from the meeting. Persons exiting the chamber shall do so quietly.
Can you get part of the minutes, please, so that village residents have a copy of it?
Yeah, I know we have to move forward on this. I've had a conversation with the manager about... Oh, is that better? Okay. I've had a conversation with the manager about the fact that this has been a recurring problem, getting the correct calculation, getting the trim notice out there, and I think one thing that every organization should have is written processes in place that, Lord forbid if something were to happen to a person who is handling a certain task, whether, that it could quickly fall on somebody else and they would actually just be able to follow what the actual process is. I don't know if we have that currently, but if we don't, I think it's something that the administration should be moving forward. I think it would correct some of these oversights that happen, because I personally don't want to see this happen again next year. This should be something that should have been resolved the first time. Mistakes do happen, but I think having written processes in place, laying out how these matters are to be handled should be put into place.
To echo what Commissioner Tudor said, I would like to see something like that as well. I think some of these issues could be avoided if any notices that go out to the newspaper are passed to me first and the manager for review and approval. That could avoid some of this.
Agreed.
Thank you. City Manager, if I understand, this went into the Herald again and was still a mistake. Didn't you fix the mistake before it went to the Herald?
The mistake that was in the Herald was that it said Tuesday, November 15th.
Right.
The date was correct, so we checked with the state. They said that's a very minor thing, and that we didn't have to re-advertise again with that.
But we didn't proofread it before we put it in?
It didn't come by me in the final version. It went straight to...
I think I agree with Commissioner Tudor in that sense. That's something simple, but that should not have happened.
Well, that was a human error. It did go through proofreading. I believe the attorney read it. I read it. It was all correct, and then the wrong one was sent that had the typo in it. Is my understanding.
Okay, so I don't know. Maybe for you it was different than for me.
Okay.
Like the email chain for me was, I received one copy this week before it was published, and it was correct. That's the only proof that I received, and it said Friday, November 15th. But apparently there was a mix-up, and that's not what was submitted to the Herald last week. I didn't receive anything before it was submitted to the Herald, but in my review in anticipation of this meeting, when I asked for the proof that was sent to me was right.
And that's what I was referencing as well. Yes, it was a staff error. This was a staff error.
It wasn't GMS.
Okay, thank you. I brought up at the last meeting in reference to the attorney fees. That question was not answered, and I'd like it to be answered. Are we going to be charged for the attorney fees?
We will discuss that with GMS and see if they will absorb that as well. So we, right now, until this is all done, we're still accruing attorney's fees, and we'll see how much that is.
And the final thing, I like to, the item that Mr. Ross quite don't understand, when are we going to be able to address it? Just what he brought up, I wanted to go over much further, because I want to be able to understand if he's saying that there's a good chance that the money could be taken back in the future.
I have not seen what Mr. Ross brought up, and so I'll be happy to review that.
I'm asking if it doesn't need to be done at this meeting, if it can be done at the next meeting, and I would like that.
Sure.
I'll second. Aye. I'll second. Aye.
The budget was already passed, so we didn't approve it. I'll go for it. Only on the.
Aye.
No, I would just ask that you vote to pass the resolution in its entirety. The only thing that hasn't been addressed yet is the directive to the finance director. The village is going to have to submit certain materials to the Department of Revenue by December 13th. So it just memorializes that the commission is issuing that directive and that has to be done. Other than that, you've addressed all the other items, so I would just recommend like an omnibus motion to pass the resolution in its entirety.
I'll second. Aye. I'll second it. Aye.